A problem I have often encountered in my discussions with theists is an apparent misunderstanding of how certain words are used. This is particularly prevalent around the words faith and belief. To many theists, these words are used almost interchangeably, and the specific meaning they have for believers is not the same one used by atheists in discussion. For many theists, the assumption that a God exists is innate, central, core to their being and understanding of reality. They take the word belief to mean faith, as in, I believe in this person, I trust them and their judgment and abilities. They mean belief as one would in a charismatic leader, not in questioning existence itself.
You've never believed in the one.
I still don't.
Then why are you doing this?
I believe in him.
Thank you.
When an atheist says, I don't believe in God, the theist hears, I don't trust God. God is bad, deceitful, and I hate him.
Why do you hate God?
This is ridiculous.
Why do you hate God? Answer the question. You've seen the science and the arguments. Science supports his existence. You know the truth. So why do you hate him? Why? It's a very simple question, Professor. Why do you hate God?
They don't understand that the atheist doesn't think a God exists at all, because the God concept is central to how they view the world. To the theist, everything is God. So saying God doesn't exist would be like saying nothing exists at all.
So y'all don't believe in God, so y'all don't believe in anything.
No, that's not true.
No.
Well, God's everything, so if you don't believe in him, then you believe in nothing.
Oh, okay, so you're defining God as everything.
Well, God made everything. Like, how can you walk outside and look at the trees in the sky and be like, there's no God?
This is obviously false, so they reject it out of hand, and we're back to the old, you just want to sin silliness that atheists have been dealing with for centuries.
See, you're just atheists because y'all want to sin all the time.
That's it. You got it.
Pretty much. I'm a big fan of sin, I have to tell you.
We just decided this whole sin thing, it's for us, so pshaw.
Well, okay. At least you're honest about it, so go and sin. I'm starting to get hungry talking about bananas. Bye.
Bye.
Woo! That was a fun one.
I love it.
I have yet to find a reliable way to bypass this problem, as it is a question of fundamental worldview, something philosophers have debated for millennia, and I have no interest in delving into the masturbatory world of academic philosophy. I do know someone who does plumb those depths, though, so I decided to give Mr. Alpha 4 a ring and see what he thought. Hello, chap. What do you make of this whole belief versus faith thing I've been talking about?
I think it's insane and absolutely crazy when atheists get angry at a physical God. Okay? And let me explain. So, like, I really love Transformers. Okay? Like, when I was a kid, that was my favorite cartoon. If I was walking around at 38 years old having legitimate arguments that gets into fist fights with people over or not Rodimus or Optimus was a better leader, you would call me insane. Okay? If I go to a place right now and talk to a current millennial-esque person and they start talking about Harry Potter and they start arguing with me that I don't understand what a true wizard or witch or werewolf is because I don't subscribe to this what was the preteen notion of vampires from like 10 years ago. Now these grown adults are still holding to this notion as if no other literature existed, no Gothic literature existed, before 2001. Well, then they're just nuts. Okay. So if you're an atheist and you are angry at a physical, literal God, if you're angry about the circumstances of your life, then you believe in God. I don't care if it's a negative belief. You're physically reacting to what you consider a fictional character. So either you're completely insane and you need medical help, or you secretly somewhere deep down inside believe there's a God because you're angry at it. Now, if you're rational and you don't believe in a God, then you can dispassionately say and give justifications for your disbelief. That's fine. Then clearly you just don't believe that the God exists. You know what I mean? But if you, on the other hand, are angry that, well, if God exists, why did this happen to me? Why did that happen to me? Oh yeah, well, look at all these people who died. Why did God do that? If you're in that state of mind, then clearly you're angry at something. Now, for religious people, God is not he's not human. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, Jesus was human, but God himself is like this existential being that exists outside the meta universe. So we're not talking about that. So we're not being even angry at like nature. Like, God's above nature. So we're not like getting angry at a thing or at a person, at a circumstance, at something with limited knowledge. That's not what we're doing. When we talk to God, we're talking to whatever created. Do you know what I mean? We're like, okay, if this thing exists, which we believe it exists, and from what we see makes us believe that it exists even more, then we believe that if that thing exists, then it should be able to hear us. So we're going to talk to it because it's not created, it's a creator. So if it's there, it's real, it can heal, it can hear, if it can hear, it can have a will. You know what I mean? Like, we don't think that that God has eyes and a hand or anything like that. Like, that's not what we believe. We're not looking at a man. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's something that creates something else. Okay, so we're not talking about, physical eyes, or like, God's not like 6'2" and like 25, he can bench press, 250 pounds. That's not what we think when we're thinking about God. You know what I mean?
God could bench press anything unless he created a rock he couldn't bench press.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the point. Is people who believe in God are not thinking of God in that terms. We're not thinking of him as a human or an animal or a creature. Yeah. So that's kind of the problem. So I think that answers your first thing. But your second thing about belief, I think, is the bigger issue, which is that when atheists and religious people of any kind, I'm not just going to go with the theist, deist thing. I'm going to be like religious people. Mm-hmm. When they're talking about belief, it's as if, and someone in my comments recently said that they deconverted from religion, which that to me, I sounded like some kind of torturous thing that they had to go through. It's like, wow, really? You're going to admit to that? Okay. To me, it's like when you go through that process, you lose a bit of language. You use the ability to use words the way that you used them before. It's kind of like how when you were a kid and you would watch a TV show and you would hear a certain line and half the class would hear it one way and half the class would hear it the other way. But then if you told the other side the way the other side heard it, suddenly you could never hear it the way you heard it the first time.
Yeah.
I feel like it's that same process, that once you jump out of the Jordan Peterson maps of meaning way of thinking, once you're out of that scope, suddenly your rationality rules and everything has this negative connotation, and you can no longer see the difference between the nuances between belief and faith. Suddenly all these words mean the same thing. Do you know what I mean?
What would you say to the idea, what I think a lot of, well, I'm not going to say a lot, what I think some of the theists of various different religions that I've had discussions with lately, what I think they think I mean when I say belief is let's say, believing in a leader, like something like, so that this person is leading this group of people, and I believe in this person. I think they are the right person to lead, and I respect and follow their decisions. And I think they think that's what I mean when I say I don't believe in God. Well, what I mean is, I don't think there is one.
Well, like I said, the problem that happens, and like I said, this is just what I've noticed in my own videos, that when I'm interacting with atheists, is that you'll get a subsect of atheists that are very loud, and that you will believe that this is the majority of atheists if you didn't actually know atheists in real life, that are physically angry at a thing that they claim is non-existent. So if you're going to be that angry at something that doesn't exist, either you have something wrong with you or it exists. Well, that's just honestly, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of the thing.
I might disagree with you a little bit there, because I think it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible to be angry with a fictional character and still recognize that the character doesn't actually exist. Like you mentioned Harry Potter earlier. When I was reading the scenes with Umbridge, with Dolores Umbridge, I was fuming because I recognised things from people I actually knew in that character. And I was thinking, I hate this, and I hate people who act like this, really. But I knew intellectually that character was fictional and didn't exist. But in my mind, that character was a manifestation of things that I despised.
But that's a different type of anger. Like, for instance, I've watched TV shows where a character does something I don't like. And that can kind of fold, and I'm going to do a little false dichotomy here, and I know it's a false dichotomy, but I'm running short on time.
Yeah.
So, where the character can do something wrong, but it's in character. And then I'm angry at the character, but the next week, I'm still watching the show. Do you know what I mean? And then the character can do something out of character, kind of like the Buffy scene where where Spike suddenly becomes a rapist. You're just like, that's not in character. That's not, like, Angel was the one who had those tendencies, not Spike. Why are you having him be this horrible thing that he's been working so hard to win back his soul for Buffy? You know, before he even started the process, he wanted to become something for her. And you're taking that away from him for a story point. Well, people quit watching Buffy. And they blamed it on the bad storyline. They blamed it on the fact that she had a mundane job. But really, it was that season they wrote all the characters out of character. And that lost them the audience. Those are two things. When you're talking about the genocide of the king, that is not out of character for God. In fact, it's when you get to the New Testament and you get, Jesus saying, love your enemy, you're like, wait a minute. Okay, I just spent 1,000 years in this. You know what I mean? So that's very different than what you're talking about, which is like, okay, here's a fictional character representing something I don't like. Yeah. Here's the way we've been interacting with reality, and now you want me to interact with reality differently. Do you see? Like it's very different in the religious person's state of mind. And by the way, I'm not trying to BS you here. I understand that not all religious people are thinking on my level. There's a reason why my channel there's a reason why my channel is more popular with atheists and Muslims than it is with. I get not everyone's thinking this thing. So we like to our scholars who have studied religious thought, and I don't just mean Christianity. I mean like even Muslims and Buddhists. It starts becoming metaphysical. So the people who understand the text have taken it to a metaphysical place that, to be honest with you, most atheists that I know on the internet are not comfortable going. That's just the truth. Some atheists are, but they usually end up falling into the spiritualist category, and that's a whole other can of worms that I also stepped into a few times in my videos.
That might be something to have a chat about at some point, actually.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I got to get to church. So for your audience that's listening, this is Alpha 4, and I'm on my way to church. So yes, atheists do call in to find out information from a Christian, even if they're going to church, because they need us that much.
So, in conclusion, make sure you know what someone means by the words they say before you start arguing with them. Thanks to Alpha 4 for that little chat, and thanks for watching, everyone.
All right, I can see